work for the Orange County Planning Division. I've got Barry Snyder here with me, also with Planning Division. And would you like to introduce yourself, Drew?
Oh, sure. Yeah, I'm Drew Dietzen. I'm with Commissioner Nicole Wilson's office with Orange County District 1. She couldn't make it tonight. There's a Charter Review Commission meeting happening, so she's going to be stuck there until probably 9 or 10. But I'm here if you need anything. I have cards, and I also film all these so that her and all of our board appointees can watch afterward, see what people have to say.
Stop drawing my attention to the camera. All right. So the reason we are here tonight is because hopefully all of you received one of these in the mail. Community meeting notice. Why you received one of these is because Orange County has received a development application, and when we receive these applications at the request of your district commissioner, sometimes they ask us to go out and do a meeting with the community, and there are two reasons for these community meetings. One is to introduce the proposal to surrounding property owners, so you know what's being proposed for the change for this particular property. And two is to get some feedback, questions, comments, concerns. Are there any elements of this proposed development that we feel might be detrimental to the surrounding property owners? If that is the case, through this conversation and through the review of this application, the county can negotiate and work with the applicant to adjust, some of the parameters of the proposal to try and lessen those impacts. So this particular application is a rezoning request. And let me back up for a second. It's for this property here. Also identified on the community meeting notice, about 1.21 acres, located right here, Apopka Vineland. So this map here is the future land use map, and this is the zoning map. Every property in the county has these two designations, future land use and zoning. And what these are, future land use sets the basic type of use that's going to be allowed on that property: residential, commercial, office, industrial, etc. And how much of that use. How many homes per acre of land, how many square feet of commercial per acre, etc. It's fairly general, as I mentioned, just the types of uses and then generally how much. More detailed, every property also has a zoning district. Zoning is, we get kind of more into those detailed standards. What specific type of uses are allowed in that particular district? What development standards are they allowed to be built to? So how high can the building be? How close can it be to the property lines? Landscaping, parking requirements, etc., etc. So this property, designated pink here, that's office. So future land use, already established, office uses. Now, there's a bit of a catch, because the zoning is rural country estate district. That's a residential district, doesn't allow office uses. So we've got a mismatch. Property owner has asked to rezone the property to what's called a planned development. And what a planned development is there are two types of zoning districts generally. There are your conventional districts, say in this case RCE, or say one of these R1 single family districts, R2 general residential districts. They have similar standards, similar specific uses that are allowed across the board. What a planned development is a property owner wants to do something that's maybe a little bit more unique, kind of specific with their property. They come into the county and they ask to rezone their property to planned development, which is a negotiated zoning district. They negotiate a very specific set of allowable uses, how much of those uses, and the standards that those uses can be built to. Now, in this particular case, we're thinking, what can be so unique about an office that you need to go through this negotiated district? It's because this property is in a special overlay area called Buena Vista North. And all development, barring very certain exceptions, all new development, barring certain exceptions, say a single family home or some very small types of things, in Buena Vista North have to rezone the PD. So they've got to go through this process. It's not like the applicant chose to go PD instead of a conventional district. It's required because in order to develop anything, you have to have consistent land use and zoning. So this particular application is to zone the PD, and with the PD, plan development, comes a specific land use plan, which we've got here. On this land use plan, you're going to find general boundary of the property, where the access is going to be, what types of uses, and the standards. This particular PD is asking for about 8,600 square feet, plus, well, actually, Montez, I'll let you specify a little bit, general medical office uses. So, the way the process works is an application's been submitted. That application is going through technical staff review, all the various county departments, planning, zoning, traffic, transportation, stormwater, environmental protection. They're all reviewing the application right now for consistency with all the various codes, regulations, requirements that apply to this type of development. As this is going through the process, as I mentioned, the commissioners asked us to go out and get some feedback from the community. Next steps are, this is going to be, once it's completed that technical staff review, so all the technical county experts have said, yes, this meets our requirements, it's going to move forward to what's called the Development Review Committee meeting. This is a group of senior staff that make recommendations on land use matters. After that, it'll move forward to public hearings. So, opportunities for public comment on this request, first one tonight. The next two are going to be at those public hearings that I'm about to talk about. The first one's going to be before the Planning and Zoning Commission, and that is an advisory board made up of representatives appointed by the Board of County Commissioners. There's going to be a public hearing there. That board will hear the case, make a recommendation, there'll be an opportunity for public comment, then it'll be forwarded for final determination before the Board of County Commissioners. We do not have dates for any of those hearings yet. First, it's got to get through technical staff review. We don't know how long that's going to take. Once that happens, then it'll be forwarded to public hearing before the boards. If you received one of these notices, you will receive a notice when those hearings are scheduled. If you did not receive one of these notices, please make sure you sign in the sign-in sheets here so we can add your contact information to the list. You get notice when it comes, when we'll add you to the list, you'll notice when the public hearings come up. Both those public hearings take place at the Orange County Administration Building, 201 South Roslyn, downtown Orlando. All that information will be in the notices. So with that, Montez, I don't know if you want to elaborate a little more on exactly what you all are proposing for this particular property.
Good afternoon. My name is Montez Bark. I'm the civil engineer working on this project for my client. As Nick was saying, this is a simple process. For this specific site, we're not asking for much other than rezoning the property to match the future land use and developing it as either medical office or general office. For the medical office, we're proposing up to 8,600 square feet building, one story. For the general office, if we don't do medical, which I don't think we're not going to do medical, but if we don't, then we're asking for two-story up to 15,000 square feet building. Other than that, we're just complying with everything that the county, all the regulations. We're not asking for a lot of waivers. We're asking for one waiver, and that has to do with landscaping in front of the building, but nothing else. I did have a presentation, but unfortunately we don't have the equipment to display it. So if you have any questions, I do have more information that I can share with you. Unfortunately, it's like 8.5 by 11 sheets. But if you would like to see like some additional information on the property, you're welcome to come and see it. And if you have any questions or need more details, I'm here to kind of answer those questions.
All right, so with that, did anyone questions, comments, concerns, anything you'd like to know more about?
Yeah, I want to know if it's only going to be medical offices or it would be something else. They can change it to whatever they want in the future. If it's planned zoning, is it possible for them to say, oh, we're coming in with a medical office and then try to convert it into something else down the line?
So with this particular type of request, that particular development program, which is what Montez was just describing, X square feet of either medical office or X square feet of general professional office, that's locked in. So that's specifically what the board's approving. If they want to do something else, say in the future, say they want to do apartments or something, anything other than those specific uses, they would have to go back through this whole process. They would submit a new application. We'll probably come out, do another community meeting. There'll be new public hearings, all of that. So everyone can ask. Every property owner has the right to ask to change their land use and zoning. Even if it's been changed before, you can ask to change it again. There's a process for it. So if this is approved, this is specifically what they would be allowed to do. They wouldn't be able to do anything without coming back through this public process. And again, bringing the information back out to the community and having the board vote on whether or not to approve or deny that particular request.
If I may add, what we're requesting is office uses. So the professional office use has multiple uses that are not necessarily just purely office, right? So, for example, they changed the code where you can put like a small restaurant or like some type of restaurant, maybe like coffee shop or something.
Small.
Yeah, small, something
limited. It's something very similar.
But just to kind of give you that idea, that so what's allowed by the code and what's not allowed by the code.
But for instance, you couldn't come in and put a warehouse. You couldn't come in and put
It has to be
townhomes or a
specific
theme park.
uses in the professional office district.
Yes.
So they are not just medical offices. I mean, when you say medical office, we are restricting the size of the building because if we do the whole thing medical, we don't have enough parking, to do anything else. So that's why we make it smaller, because the parking requirements for a medical office is much more than regular office. But that doesn't mean that, we can't use it. Half of it is medical office and then the other half could be regular office. Or it could be like can be like a spa or something. I mean, there's so many different small uses that can be done in that professional office district. But nothing, that will scare you. There's no uses that are not considered compatible with office uses.
Exactly. Everything would be under that office umbrella.
Yeah.
Well, there are many different types of offices and small type of ancillary things you could do with an office.
Yes, exactly.
So could it be shops and restaurants in there, like any kind of retail shops or smoke shops, vape shops, anything like that?
Smoke shop, vape shop, that would fall under general retail. Couldn't do it.
So no.
No. Would not be allowed. They would need to ask for general retail uses for that, and that's not covered under office.
Okay, my other concern is already there's a lot of traffic and the same company or developer, the same engineer, I don't know if it's the same ownership of that land and parcel, but they're trying to build across the road another PD. It's not enough space, 0.62 acres, and this is 1.1 acres. According to, it's like spot development, they're like getting little parcels all along that Ruby Lake Road, Apopka Vineland Road, and there's like, if they keep on building different office retail or whatnot, it's gonna just end up being more of a cluster in traffic. It's gonna turn into International Drive or Sand Lake intersection where you can't even, it takes 30 minutes sometimes for me to go to I-4 right now. So if you keep getting the approvals for all these plans and developments, it's gonna make our residential life miserable to get anywhere.
So
I'm
traffic
very concerned
impacts
about
are absolutely one of those things I was mentioning that there are technical professional staff that are looking at. Actually, do you want to kind of talk about how concurrency and traffic improvements would be
Sure.
looked at through the process?
I mean, for us to kind of, anytime new development comes in, you have to have the concurrency, that meaning that you have to have capacity for traffic. If you don't have capacity, then you have to go through several steps to kind of enhance the capacity of the roadways. In our case, we don't generate a lot of traffic, but there are some broken segments within a certain radius of our project that for us to build, we have to pay into a program called, prop share, which is money that the county will collect and they will use to build bigger roads and improve roads and, improve signals and all that kind of stuff. So that is the way that the county deals with it.
Yep.
Traffic, there's a lot of traffic in the county. Everybody knows that, and it's a huge problem everywhere, not just in this location.
So we can't tell you exactly what those improvements would be at this very early stage in the process, but it is absolutely something that's going to be required of them before they can actually construct
Yeah.
In the
what they're
future, the
proposing to
county's not
construct,
thinking
right?
of putting a light on the 5th Street and Apopka Vineland, 535 and 5th Street. That would solve a lot of problems because you got the mosque and you got the synagogue and the temple and everything is, it's like the meeting point. They could use a light over there. That would solve a lot of problems.
That has been something that we've been talking about with the county for a long, long time.
And the county's getting richer every day. They're collecting all these huge taxes. Properties double the values and all that, man. I mean, just in my block, in our Ruby Lake, we used to have three deers. Behind Kevin's house, 3, now there's one deer left, and the coyote comes by once in a while. So we still got wildlife, and why would I move out of Queens, New York? I grew up near Donald Trump's house, to come down here, last 20 years, So I'm gonna leave my hometown.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah,
as he was mentioning, depending on the size of the project, it affects the exact form of kind of how those improvements happen. Typically with a small project like this, they accumulate, and eventually there's a trigger that he was mentioning. The funds that they pay in order to address it go into a pot, county funds, that now we can use to, maybe it's widening the road, maybe it's adding a turn lane, maybe it's restriping, or once there's enough of a demand there, and it's much smarter, higher level than my understanding, that traffic engineers have all of this worked out, a light, or some sort of signal, or a stop sign, those type of things. Because again, I can't tell you at this stage exactly what that form will be, but it's absolutely something that we're analyzing and is required as part of this process.
Yeah. And we are talking to the county about the possibility of having a light there. But, we're a very small project, we cannot be the ones building it. So we'll see how that goes. There's two options for us at this point. We could utilize the 5th Street intersection for our entrance, or we could move our entrance down to the south, away from that intersection. If we do put it on the intersection, we definitely would like to have the county put a light there, because that makes it a lot safer to utilize that intersection. If we don't exercise that, then we're just going to put it away from that intersection because of the safety issues that are existing right now. Or not, I wouldn't say safety, but the need for a traffic light in that location.
And I saw that there was a proposal for a private school or some Christian school to go on that same side somewhere. Is that on that same area or somewhere?
So there was a proposal a while ago for, there's this existing building here.
Okay.
It was, I can't remember if it was Goddard School or something or along those lines, to occupy the existing building. They weren't building anything new, it was just occupying the existing
So
building.
that didn't go forward?
No, that's actually being built right now.
The use has been approved.
Yeah, that's
Okay. Where is that exactly?
So that is, you're more than free to come up and take a
Yeah.
closer look at the map
there's
if you
only
want.
2 of you, so why not?
It's this building right here is where the school is going to be located.
Yeah.
So they're not making any external improvements to the site. All they're doing is changing the interior of the building.
Yeah.
Sorry, it's this one.
This is the Hindu temple here?
This-
The temple's up
Oh,
here.
it's on this side.
Yeah.
Okay.
This is I think a kindergarten or something.
Okay, so this is where the school is going?
Yes, the school
What is it currently?
It's vacant.
It-
It wasn't really built. It was like a brand new building.
I think it was
built as a general retail building.
I think
Yeah.
it's Crenshaw School.
Crenshaw. Thank
They
you.
changed the name now, but
Two-
Yeah, but
There's
yeah.
too many private schools.
And yeah, we had a meeting, I want to say last year for that one, like
Yeah.
about a year ago, and the reception was mostly positive because they take in less trips per day than anything else you could put in a retail center, basically.
Yeah, so that was actually a swap out of uses. They were originally approved for those general retail uses for that site. When they added in the use of school, that's, believe it or not, actually a reduction in traffic.
Yeah, so my main concern, like I said, is they're already building something or trying to build something
Yeah,
here.
there's gonna be, there's like this along this corridor, this has already been designed as a dental office. This is vacant, that we're proposing to do an office building retail, type of small retail. This is all vacant here. This is Duke Energy, this is not gonna be developed as anything other than
Yep.
a station for them.
Yeah,
So there's these properties here that are still available. Everything else has been almost built.
I understand it, but
Yeah.
it's the major thing is for me, the traffic and safety concerns,
Yeah,
just like
I
what
mean,
I'm worried about.
All this is like the ship, as they say,
They're
has
valid
sailed. There's like this development here that Darrell Carter and whatnot.
Yeah, that's
that they
a
built the
huge
city.
acreage,
That's
whatever
a
they
city.
had the whole lot, so
Yeah.
these small little parcels coming up is just kind of make more
Yeah.
traffic, so that's what
But
I'm
these are like
concerned
very small, I mean, they're not really that much traffic, and usually like smaller projects like this, they're mostly local traffic, so it's like you coming from your house going to this place to do something. It's not like somebody coming from
Across
Sydney
town,
to
yeah.
come here and, creating all that traffic. It's just people who are local.
Yeah,
Usually they
I
use,
mean-
like if this is a medical office of a dentist, for example, or a doctor, it's not gonna be bringing people from outside. It's gonna be the community itself that's gonna be utilizing that dentist office, or otherwise they wouldn't open it here. It's not an attraction per se. It's not a destination.
Hey, Nicholas, is there anybody here from Hidden Valley?
I don't see.
I know we sent notices, but
Are you sure? Who's in charge of the notices? I want to know who that is.
We have public notification team. I can send you the list
Okay.
we have.
Do you know why this is here?
The,
You know why that's here?
the whole history?
Yeah. You know how that got built? This. Our commissioner, the Lee Constantine. Okay, they sent one letter to the office of Hidden Valley. This wouldn't be here if all those people were notified. They raised hell, but it was too late. It already passed.
So, one thing I will say is, so standard notification criteria, right? We send out notices to all property owners. With this particular
Did you say,
setup,
I can't believe
I'll
there's
have to
nobody
look
here
at the
from
list.
Hidden Valley. So, once again, I guess the office got one letter, not all the people that live there.
we can check in on that and find out how it was distributed.
I would like to close the meeting and have that searched and then have another meeting, because this ain't right.
We'll have that conversation absolutely with the commissioner, and we can get
Where's
that
she at?
information
She
to you
here?
as
She's
well.
never here, is she?
Unfortunately, she was not able
Last
to
time she
make it
was
this
in a car
evening.
wreck. Remember
Well,
that?
we do have her staff here with us, so she is being apprised of this conversation.
Yeah. Well, I got an email. I gave you guys my email several times and never got any response from anybody.
Well, please continue to reach out to me. I'll make sure you get responses, and Drew as well.
You did get a notification, right?
I got one, but it's like, if someone doesn't read their mail sometimes, there's nobody here. Like, I'm sure a lot of people, if they got the notification, they would show up to the meeting.
So the good news is, as I mentioned, not the only opportunity for public comment. There's at least 3 formal opportunities for public comment. Tonight, the 2 public hearings I was mentioning, and anything you send to us during the whole time of this review gets saved into the public record. Ultimately, once that staff review is completed that I was mentioning, we compile a staff report that's got a general analysis, information about the request, staff recommendation gets presented to the board. That includes a summary of the correspondence, both what we heard at the community meeting and anything we've heard in between. So, little confusing. Contact information on here. Rebecca Bowden. My name's not Rebecca, just in case any of you were confused. If Becca is at the office, Barry and I are here in her place. So you can reach out to Becca at the contact information here, or Barry and I will have our cards. We can give them to you as well. Give us a phone call, email, fax, whatever works for you anytime. As I mentioned, we collect all the correspondence and we share that with the board as they're making their decision.
And then what about environmental, if they keep on just tearing these trees down and get rid of all these, like he was mentioning earlier, the wildlife and whatnot? They already did that with Daryl Carter, it was beautiful, and now it's all gone, so, I mean, that's like,
Yeah, I'd like to know how the county gave permission for Publix to build in that parking lot on top of a graveyard.
Fun story, it built around the graveyard.
Yeah.
But,
No, you're wrong.
I'm happy to be wrong, but
Been here all my life.
more than happy to be wrong.
My uncle used to be
Great
the
questions.
mayor here, city commissioner, circuit court judge. I know all these people. They lived around here in the 50s and the 60s. That was a pauper's field, and there's graves all over. They asphalted all over there. When I was a little kid, I used to see people didn't have enough money to be buried in a cemetery like Greenwood in Orlando. They brought them out here.
Understood. So those questions are a little above my head. But,
Yeah,
so to answer the
it's like the
environmental
wild,
question
wild west out here.
is yes, there are a series of environmental rules, regulations, processes you have to go through. One of those technical review groups I was mentioning is the county's Environmental Protection Division. So they're reviewing this case and all others, based on all of the rules, regulations, policies, from their particular perspective. Once this, if this is approved, they're ready to actually construct things. There are additional state level permitting they have to go through, wildlife surveys, et cetera. If certain protected species are there, they have to address that. So there are regulations and procedures to address kind of all of that. tree mitigation requirements as well. You take out a certain number of trees. There is a whole arbor code that talks about, what you're gonna have to replant on your site to make up for that.
And what about stormwater drainage and then rodent issues that can arise with all these new developments happening? Like, it's not.
So at this stage, we're talking about the use, should the use be allowed, right? Once, things get passed, if a determination is made that the use is allowed, then they start engineering the site. That goes through, in this case, what's called a development plan and a site plan, or a site plan. On that plan is where they start showing the specific details of where the building's gonna be, where the pavement's gonna be, where the landscaping, and the stormwater facilities. And they are gonna have to design their stormwater facilities so they're not creating any additional runoff than what's there today. Everything's gotta be held on site.
Yeah, I mean, it's all a residential area and it's just becoming like a concrete jungle. We didn't move here from New York to be living in a bunch of like mom and pop, whatever, offices and,
Drainage and
cookie cutter.
flooding are a huge concern, especially, amongst our board right now, and it's something that staff are hyper-focused at looking at.
Yeah, I just got an update about that from Public Works, because we had, after the hurricanes, we finally were able to get them going on updating like the formulas possibly that they use to determine whether stormwater is actually gonna like be held on site or flood, because we see a lot of standing water in the whole district, particularly around Shingle Creek, where it's, the formulas say that it's not there, but it's there, like there's flooding happening. And so they're coming back to the BCC meeting in early June to give us some updates about that. Because yeah, that's been something that my boss has been kind of banging the table for a while.
Yeah.
So yeah, hopefully that'll come
But
as soon as possible.
again, the more she hears from folks like you about those issues, that you're concerned about those issues, the more ability she has to make countywide changes.